She's the first rookie to win WNBA Player of the Month since the award's inception in 2010, and last night it was no exception. They were sky high for Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but to start the season, they had a little bit of a rough go of it. They lost their first 5 games. They ended up 1-8 through their first 9 games, and during that first month, the playoffs, they didn't feel realistic at all. Indy entered the Olympic break 11-15 on the year, and then they really turned it around. They've won 7 of their 8 since. They clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, which, by the way, was the last year of Hall of Famer and franchise icon Tamika Catchings.
Remember when everyone thought Angel Reese was the clear rookie of the year? Well, ESPN just dropped their final rookie rankings, and you won't believe who's on top now. Caitlin Clark just shot up from 6th to 1st place. How did that happen? Let's break it down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. It's Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, the rookie showdown we've all been waiting for. These two have been on totally different paths in the rankings. Reese started strong, dominating the boards and racking up double-doubles. But Clark, she's been climbing that ladder like it's on fire. You know what's crazier? We're about to dive into how Clark made this insane jump from 6th to 1st. It's not just about points and assists, folks. There's so much more going on behind the scenes. We're talking advanced stats, team impact, and stuff you can't always see on the highlight reel. Get ready, because we're about to uncover the shocking truth behind these rankings. Trust me, it's not as simple as you might think. You thought you knew Caitlin Clark's game? Think again. The stats don't lie, and they're telling a story that's gonna make you question everything you thought you knew about this rookie phenom. Let's talk about Clark's post-All-Star break performance. She's been putting up numbers that are straight up ridiculous. We're talking 32.7 points per 100 possessions. That's not just good, that's elite level scoring. And get this, she's doing it with a 60% true shooting percentage. That's the kind of efficiency that makes coaches drool and defenders lose sleep. But scoring isn't the whole story. Remember how everyone was worried about Clark's turnovers? Well, she shut those critics up real quick. Her assist rate jumped to 39.7%. while her turnover rate dropped to 21.6%. That's a massive improvement, and it shows she's not just chucking up shots, she's making her teammates better too.
She has lived up to expectations, right? I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? For us, just in the women's side of things, and the height that she had, the expectations she had.
Let's start with the rookie, Caitlin Clark Kent. Superwoman, you see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, fever. Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record.
She's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
Now let's get into the really nerdy stuff. Win shares and player efficiency rating per wins. These are the stats that separate the good from the great. Clark racked up 3.0 win shares and 5.2 per wins. You know who she beat? Angel Reese. The same Angel Reese who was dominating the rookie rankings earlier. Reese ended up with 2.8 win shares and 3.9 per wins. Clark didn't just catch up, she zoomed past. This is where things get really interesting. Earlier in the season, everyone was talking about Clark's turnovers. Some people even tried to blame her teammates, saying they couldn't handle her passes. But guess what? That was all a myth. ESPN's Neil Payne broke it down, showing that Clark's decision-making and passing output actually improved big time. It wasn't about her teammates catching up. It was Clark leveling up her own game. These aren't just random numbers. They're telling us a story about how Clark adapted and grew throughout the season. She didn't just rely on her natural talent. She worked on her weaknesses and turned them into strengths. That's the kind of development that gets people excited about a player's future. And here's the kicker. All these improvements led to a complete shift in how people see Clark's impact on the game. It's not just about flashy plays or highlight reel moments anymore. These advanced stats are showing us that Clark is contributing to wins in ways that aren't always obvious to the naked eye. Think about it. At the start of the season, Clark was 6th in the rookie rankings. Now she's number 1. That's not just a little jump, that's a massive leap, and it's all backed up by these stats. It's like Clark heard all the doubters and said, watch this.
WNBA Player of the Week. There have only been 40 triple-doubles in the history of the WNBA. Cheryl Swoops recorded the first WNBA triple-double during the 1999 season, while Caitlin Clark logged the most recent triple-double earlier this week. She now has 102 on the season and is 19 away from Diana Taurasi in second place and 26 away from UNESCO of the New York Liberty. She ain't beating Angel Wilson for the MVP, but she's beating Angel Reese for the Rookie of the Year. That's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way.
While Clark was climbing the rankings, another rookie was dominating in her own way. Angel Reese's season was so impressive, it has people questioning everything they thought they knew about first-year players. What made her performance truly historic? Let's talk about Angel Reese, the double-double queen. This rookie came into the league and immediately started breaking records. You know how hard it is to get a double-double in the WNBA. Reese made it look easy. She racked up 26 double-doubles in her rookie season. That's not just good, that's a new WNBA record. Imagine stepping onto the court for the first time as a pro and then leading the entire league in rebounding. That's exactly what Reese did. She averaged 13.1 rebounds per game. And it's not like she was just hanging around the basket. Reese was putting up 13.6 points per game too. That's a rookie making a massive impact right from the start. You might be thinking, okay, she can score and rebound, but what about defense? Well, Reese had that covered too. She was snagging steals at a rate that had forwards across the league looking over their shoulders. It's like she was everywhere on the court at once. But here's where things get complicated. Reese was absolutely dominating, setting records and making veterans look like rookies. Then, out of nowhere, her season got cut short. A wrist injury put her on the sidelines and required surgery. You want to talk about bad timing? This was it. Reese opened up about the injury, saying it was a small crack in a bone in her left wrist. It might sound minor, but if she kept playing, she could have ended up with arthritis. That's the kind of long-term thinking you don't always see from rookies eager to prove themselves.
So y'all know I hurt my wrist. I am out for the season. I fell on my hand when I got the M1. When I fell back, fell on my hand, and it is a small crack in my bone. The bone could literally crack and literally completely shatter. Right now it's like a hairline, literally a hairline, like shatter, not even that big. I literally could have like not played anymore because my bone this is a very hard place to heal because the blood flow is like literally little to none. So
you can imagine how tough it was for Reese to watch from the sidelines. She said it herself. It's definitely sad whenever you see anyone go down with an injury. But even with this setback, Reese kept her head up. She talked about continuing to train and support her teammates during recovery. That's the kind of attitude that separates good players from great ones. Now, you might be wondering how this injury affected people's perceptions of Reese's rookie year. It's a fair question. On one hand, you've got these incredible stats and a broken record. On the other, you've got an incomplete season. It's like reading an amazing book and finding out the last chapter is missing. But here's the thing, even with the shortened season, Reese's impact was undeniable. She didn't just play well for a rookie, she played well, period. The number she put up in her limited time on the court had people talking about her as one of the best rebounders in the league, rookie or not. Now you'd think dominating the stats would settle any argument, but here's where things get messy. The rankings that put some rookies on top, they're not sitting well with a lot of fans. It's like there's a battle brewing between what the numbers say and what our eyes see on the court. You've got fans arguing left and right about who deserves to be at the top of these rookie rankings.
So Caitlin Clark finished with that triple-double. She just continues her superstar trajectory. She's the only rookie in WNBA history with the triple-double.
Caitlin Clark is doing things beyond her years. Let me show you how good 22 has been. She's on pace to generate the most points in a season in WNBA history.
Some are all about the stats, throwing around numbers like they're candy. Others, they're swearing by what they've seen in games, saying the stats don't capture everything. Let's talk about this eye test versus stats debate. It's not just about Clark and Reese anymore. It's turned into this whole thing about how we judge players. You've got people saying, but did you see that game? While others are pulling up spreadsheets. It's like two different languages in the same conversation. In ESPN's rankings, they're catching heat from both sides. Some fans are saying the methodology doesn't value certain skills enough. Like, how do you measure heart or clutch performances? It's not just about points and rebounds, right? Think about Clark's impact on the Indiana Fever. She's turned that team around, but how much of that shows up in the stats? Then you've got Reese, who was absolutely dominating for the Chicago Sky before her injury. But team success isn't everything, is it?
The hottest team in the WNBA right now is the Indiana Fever. Kelsey Mitchell has been balling. Lexi Hall has been an X factor, and that was a great chess move, just getting this lineup with chemistry. As for this win streak, though, Caitlin has created 224 points between points scored herself and points assisted. That's almost 45 points per game, and the most by any player ever during a 5-game win.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Former WNBA coach Carolyn Peck dropped this perspective that's got everyone talking. She said Reese's contributions might not be as flashy, but her rebounding and defense are crucial. It's like she's saying, hey, don't forget about the dirty work. That's the stuff that doesn't always show up in highlight reels or fancy stats. But here's the thing, we can't just ignore the numbers either. Those advanced stats, they're telling us things we might miss just watching the games, like Clark's improvement in decision making and passing. That's not something you always catch in real time. So what's the answer? It's not as simple as picking a side. The smart money's on finding a balance. You've got to look at the stats, sure, but you also need to watch the games, see how players impact their teams beyond the numbers. And let's be real, this debate isn't going away anytime soon. As long as we've got rookies shaking up the league like Clark and Reese, we're gonna have people arguing about how to rank them. It's part of what makes following the WNBA so much fun. You know what's really wild about all this? It shows just how much these rookies are changing the game. We're not just debating who's better, we're debating how to even measure greatness in the first place. That's the kind of impact that goes beyond any single season or award.
Caitlin Clark became the first ever rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double twice in the same season. In that game, Clark scored her 103-point shot this season, becoming just the 6th woman. My WNBA Player of the Week, surprise, surprise, Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. There's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors.
Hold up though, we've been so focused on Clark and Reese, we might be missing the bigger picture. There's a whole rookie class out there changing the game in ways you wouldn't expect. Ever wondered how much these first-year players are really impacting the league? Let me hit you with a stat that's going to blow your mind. First-year players accounted for 11.4% of all minutes played in the WNBA this season. That's not just a little impact, that's rookies taking over a big chunk of the game. We're talking about newcomers stepping up and making their mark right from the start. But it's not just about the minutes. Clark and Reese, they're like the face of this rookie revolution. These two aren't just playing well, they're changing how people see the WNBA. TV ratings are up, more people are showing up to games, and fans are buying merch like crazy. It's like these rookies injected a whole new energy into the league. Think about it. When was the last time you saw so much buzz around women's basketball? Clark's got people who've never watched a WNBA game tuning in just to see what she'll do next. And Reese, she's got this fierce style of play that's got everyone talking. It's not just about the stats anymore. It's about the excitement these players bring to the court. Now, let's talk about how these rankings are shaking things up. It's not just about who's number 1 or 2. These rankings are showing us that women's basketball is changing, and it's changing fast. We're seeing a whole new level of talent coming into the league, and it's not just 1 or 2 standout players. It's a whole class of rookies ready to make their mark.
You knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. You had a decisive advantage because they made the mistake of letting you know who they are, whoever those people are. That's not the case with all. It's not the case with most. But those who screech the loudest get the most attention sometimes. And that's what the worst of cynics and critics do.
You know what's really cool about all this? It's not just about this season. All these impactful rookies are setting up the WNBA for an incredible future. Imagine a league where every team has young stars pushing the game to new levels. That's what we're looking at here. The competition is getting fiercer, the games are getting more exciting, and fans are loving every minute of it. But here's something to think about. With all these amazing rookies coming in, how's that going to change the game in the long run? Are we going to see veteran players stepping up their game to keep up? Or are we going to see teams built around these young stars? Alright, let's wrap this up. The Clark versus Reese debate shows us that player rankings aren't just about basic stats. We've got to look at the whole picture. Advanced metrics, eye test, team impact, everything. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with pieces from different boxes. Here's the thing, next time you see player rankings, don't just take them at face value. Ask yourself, what am I not seeing here? Maybe a player's impact goes beyond the box score. Maybe their presence on the court changes the whole game. That's the kind of thinking that'll make you a smarter fan. You know what's really exciting? Thinking about how this rookie class might change the WNBA. Are we seeing the birth of a new era in women's basketball? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. It's going to be one hell of a ride.